This episode of Triple Feature was filmed in front of a live studio audience. Thank you.
There'll be spectacle, there'll be fantasy, there'll be daring do and stuff like you would never see.
Be a movie. Yeah, we're gonna be a movie.
Starring everybody
And me. There'll be heroes bold, there'll be comedy, and a lot of fuss that ends for us real happily. Be a movie. We can watch it all develop. Starring everybody.
And me will take the world and set it on its ear.
Come on, join in. We're gonna start right here.
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast, Triple Feature. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And tonight on the marquee is the A-Team. And also on the marquee is Miami Vice. I don't remember. I almost did the Knight Rider theme.
Yeah.
And then finally, and before I tell you what the third movie on the marquee tonight, let me explain to you that my co-host with the most is Ronnie Adams of the Screaming Boy podcast. How do you do, sir?
It's dead. Let it die.
Ronnie Adams, I haven't made to understand that you're just a good old boy and you ain't meaning no harm.
Yeah, I just messed it up.
Something since the day you was born.
Yeah.
Making your way, the only way
The only way I know how.
Yeah, that's just a little bit more
than the law will allow.
That is very correct. And of course, we are talking about the Dukes of Hazzard. Ronnie Adams and I were having a conversation a little ways back, and we were talking about these really fun movies that we never get to talk about on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. And that's when the idea came to us. Like, you know, I the very first movie review I ever did back in the olden times was when YouTube capped you at 10 minutes. And so I remember those days.
I remember those days.
Yeah. So the very first one I ever did was for the A-Team, and it was just me kind of just talking into a microphone, telling people what I thought of the movie when I saw it back in the yesteryear. And I've always wanted to kind of revisit that and like, okay, what do I think about this movie where they fly a tank all these many years later? And then you and I went back and forth about that. We're like, hey, let's do a whole triple feature dedicated to 80s television shows that were remade into movies in the 2000s. And so we landed on Miami Vice, which I'd never seen before. And I'm not convinced I saw it this time either. I'll get to that in a moment. And then the Dukes of Hazzard movie. So let me ask you a question. You watched all of these shows, right? I was a huge fan of the A-Team growing up. That was my show. That and Night Court, I had to get special permission from my parents to stay up late to watch. I could not go to sleep unless I saw the A-Team.
Yeah.
I was aware of Miami Vice from a cultural standpoint. Me and my friend, we would put on like flowered like Hawaiian shirts, and like one of us would be Magnum PI and the other one would be Don Johnson from Miami Vice.
Or the jacket with the t-shirt under the jacket with the sleeves rolled up.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's how we roll back in the hood. But I didn't actually watch a single episode of Miami Vice back in the day. But I did watch, and I will pitch it over to you after this, but I want to tell the story real quick. No problem. I used to watch the Dukes of Hazzard both when it was originally aired and then in syndication. And I remember my dad, arch Democrat that he is, coming down the stairs in Long Island, New York, in the home that I grew up in, and looked at me, looked at what I was watching, saw that I was watching the Dukes of Hazzard, looked back at me and said, "I have no son," and walked away. Now, Ronnie Adams, Ronnie Adams, now tell me about your traumatic childhood.
That does not disappoint, sir. Oh my goodness, Mark's dad.
Hang on, we've managed to piss off Pat, by the way. You guys are doing an 80s triple feature and didn't include me. To hell with all of you. I sent the schedule out, man. Like, you gotta go for yours when the time comes. Anyway, back to you, Ronnie.
Oh, Dad. What's the problem?
Shows that were made in the 2000s. I don't think you would like this anyway, Pat. Go away, child.
Yes, go away, kid. You bother me. 80s TV shows, go.
My 80s TV shows?
Yeah, the shows that you used to watch.
Oh,
like,
definitely
of the ones we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely the A-Team. Definitely, you're talking to the guy who had the General Lee toy with Luke.
So did I. Did you? No, see, I didn't. See, that's the weird thing is I always had incomplete toys. So I had the General Lee, and then I put Star Wars figures in them.
No, I had Luke and Bo.
Oh, okay.
And then I had Luke and Bo on a poster in my room as a kid.
Really?
Nobody reads the schedule.
He's not wrong.
Not wrong. But and I watched the A-Team a lot too. I was always the kid though. Like what frustrated me, and I wasn't like bloodthirsty or anything, but I was just like, why are these people not better shots on the A-Team and G.I. Joe?
So I've talked about my dad in the past about how like his whole thing with G.I. Joe was 1 million rounds of laser ammunition and nobody takes a single shot.
Right.
Right. But the A-Team wasn't so much about shooting guys with machine guns as it was like MacGyvering some sort of asinine setup that involved paint, bubble gum, and a smack in the head. Like they were always building. Remember that last quarter of the show, they were always building something like some elaborate trap, like the 66 Batman show.
Yeah, BA was always picking up propane tanks to show how strong he was and everything else. Yeah. So I get it. But I was just like, when Hannibal would kick open the door of the van and he had that rifle, and just laying into people, I was like, yeah. Well, he ain't hitting anything. Then he hit tire.
He's just shooting into the clouds.
Yeah, he's just like, bah, 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 bah. But he would hit a tire, and the car would flip 16,000 times.
Absolutely,
and explode.
Yes.
Only after the people jumped out.
Yeah,
I mean, I get it. It was still amazing fun, and I would never trade it for the world the way it was.
Did you watch Miami Vice?
I didn't. It was too mature for me.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, that's what I was told. I didn't watch it a lot. I watched a little bit of it, but I think I was.
Keep going. I will address this in a second.
They wanted to watch like Spencer for Hire, and I can't remember the other one, but it was a detective agency that had a helicopter, and like an old helicopter with a face drawn on it. I can't remember what it was. It was really weird, but
no,
yeah. But Miami Vice was good. I mean, I was like, I go back now. I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. The way that just the swagger and the clothes and everything that they had back then.
If I remember correctly, Miami Vice works very similar to the way the Beverly Hills Cop movies worked, in that we have this very nice, very pristine, sort of elaborate, almost fantastic atmosphere setting that we're going to set this gritty crime show in. Yeah, we're going we're going to like break the veneer of this fantasy world.
It's how, yeah.
And now I'm assuming for you being North Carolina or Ohio,
West Virginia, baby.
Yeah. Dukes of Hazzard was like religious television, yeah?
No, not that much, but it wasn't religious television, but it was definitely it was for them, even though they were moonshine, they were moonshiners. That was.
I think we lost you there, Ronnie.
Okay, huh? Oh yeah, there was no. Yeah, it's been going in and out on you as well, but but I'm getting it. But it was just a wholesome show. There was no real like true violence in it. There was no, other than Daisy Duke. Oof.
Yeah, I was going to say, for the sexualization and innuendo that took place inherently in the Dukes of Hazzard, it really was an innocence of its time. You know what I mean? I think, and we're going to talk about the movie now, and I almost feel like in almost every single one of these situations, the people making these movies utterly miss the point.
Oh yeah,
that is other than the fact that these are all like 80s television shows made into 2000s movies. That's like the great unifier, is like swing and a miss in all three. So I want to catch up with Pat here. The A-Team was largely about the Great Escape or an elaborate trap, although as trained soldiers, they should have been better shots. No shit. He's seen every episode of Miami Vice. Pat, what do you want me to do, Pat? I'm sorry, Pat. I'm sorry. And he says Miami Vice. So no, Miami also largely explored the downtrodden Liberty City areas as well as the ghettos. They actually often filmed in areas designated for demolition by the city. Thank you, Pat. You're a good boy. All right, let's get into the A-Team movie. The movie of which I told my son, come sit down and watch with me, son. They fly a tank. And he was like, that's all I want to see. And I'm like, and that's all you will see. So the A-Team is a 2010 American action thriller based on the 1980s television series, created by Frank Lupo and Stephen J. Cannell, directed by Joe Carnahan, and and written by Carnahan, Brian Bloom, and Skip Woods. It stars Liam Neeson as Hannibal, Bradley Cooper as the Face Man, Quentin Rampage, you're gonna be some black on black crime, Jackson, and Sharlto Copley as Howlin' Mad Murdoch. And Jessica Biel and her nipples are also in this movie, as well as Patrick Wilson and Yoel Vasquez.
And their nipples.
Well, Jessica Biel's nipples feature prominently in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. And you can check that out in our archive.
Yeah.
In any case, so that we don't waste time and we can kind of get through all of these reviews in fast fashion. The whole thing is this is like an origin story for the A-Team. They meet each other in the first act. They are doing missions for the army or the military. Going into the second act, they are betrayed. They are imprisoned. They escape. They proceed to get back the MacGuffin that was lost in order to clear their name. However, they are betrayed again, but this time they escape. And when it ends, it picks up where the show begins, in which they are soldiers of fortune. And they go through the intro to the show. If you can find them, and, blah, blah, then the A-Team can help you out. All right. So let me...
Sorry.
So the A-Team is 50-50 for me.
Really?
Watching it a second time, I feel like the action sequences, except for the flying the tank scene, are a little hard to read. Like like the end sequence where they're on the docks and they're doing the misdirect, and they're knocking over the canisters. It's great in the sense of it provides for a large cinematic spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that the other scene, like the original scene where they lose the plates and some of the stuff in the beginning, it's so shoddily edited. It's hard to follow and read at times. And so, the movie is either got a action sequence that's hard to read, or it just dies and there's dialogue that isn't particularly interesting. The performances, I think, are okay. But here's another issue that I have, and that is one of the things that I think attracts people to the A-Team is Mr. T's B.A. Baracus.
Mm-hmm.
And, you want him to be this character, this bigger than life, I pity the fool, ridiculous caricature of a human being. And Rampage Jackson isn't able to do any of that.
No, the charisma needed for that particular role. Sorry, Rampage, but it's just not there. I mean,
but I don't think that's his fault. I don't think they gave him anything to work with. Making him a pacifist midway through the movie did not help.
Which was dumb to me.
Yeah, it was.
I like this movie a lot. It's one of my turn-ons. Like you turn it on and you ignore. It's an ignore movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my turn-ons.
As going with long walks in the parks and beach picnics,
margaritas while watching the A-Team. But no, I turn it on and ignore it, and I like doing that just because probably pretty much can quote it from now, from here to eternity, because I've seen it so many times, just in the background, and then just because it's fun, it can be smart, and I think Sharlto Copley was just amazing in it. I thought he was phenomenal.
I didn't think they gave him enough to do. I thought Bradley I thought Bradley Cooper as the face man stole the whole movie.
Yeah, he was great.
I think Liam Neeson is just yelling. It's kind of Liam Neeson's kind of doing a Sir Alec Guinness in Star Wars, where he's just yelling exposition at you the whole movie.
I mean, he said he enjoyed doing that movie a lot and would do another one. He actually, I think that it said that he had just quit smoking and then had to smoke cigars for the movie. And he's like, oh, but he, there's not much to Hannibal. He played Hannibal. He played the leader just fine.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say there's not much to Hannibal was just he was the calm, cool, I love it when a plan comes together. They always come together.
Yeah. He was the one that was always dealing with the family in need. He was sort of the rock that was holding everything together. Face Man was the guy that was always
sleeping around.
Yeah, sleeping around, or he would do disguises. Howlin' Mad Murdoch was essentially Klinger from fucking MASH.
Yeah.
And Mr. T was a black guy. So that was the A-Team. And I don't feel like they really, other than Bradley Cooper's face, man, I don't feel like they really captured the magic of that original unit.
Yeah, I guess I can agree with that to a point. I don't know. The only one that I didn't like in his role, and I say didn't like, and I say that very lightly. I mean, he did, and I thought everybody else did either just fine or great.
Okay.
But Jessica Biel's character was okay. It was just kind of a story.
She was a big, strong woman who don't need no man.
Right, who ended up needing a man.
Sure.
But
by the end of this movie, all your problems will be solved with my penis.
Gosh, I want somebody to say that one time in a movie.
You heard me. That's how they write. That's how they write scripts in Hollywood. Go away. You bother me.
Wait.
All right. Please don't wait for my son to interact. Just keep talking.
No. But it's just A-Team is just stupid, silly fun.
Yeah.
Is it going to win the awards? Heck no. And they knew that going into this. They just wanted to create a blockbuster, which it was. I don't think it failed.
Well, no. It bombed.
It bombed. It did bomb. I thought it was good.
Yeah, let's spend just a few minutes talking about that. So on a budget of northwards of $110 million, this thing only made 177.2.
Oh, I thought it did way better than that.
No, this thing crashed and burned. It crashed critically and financially. 49% on Rotten Tomatoes. And then box office, it was a disaster.
You know me and critics anyway, though, like these so-called professional critics or whatever.
No, but I think that there's something to be said for critical analysis.
Well, that's why I go to you.
Fair enough. Anything else about the A-Team that you have a burning desire to talk about? Because like I said, for me, it didn't need to. This thing needed to be a tight 90 minutes, and like drawing it out for that extra 30. I think they were going for like an epicness that it didn't warrant. And I think it drags the movie down. I also think because the A-Team is such a slight proposition that trying to give it that epic sense, it didn't need to be Lord of the Rings. It's just, like dudes helping like the family farm not get taken over by gangsters with, elaborate traps. Like, let's not make this more than it really is.
And you just gave me you just gave everybody the plot of the last Rambo movie too.
Yeah, really.
Truthfully, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But 90 minutes. It could have been hour 45, and it'd been just fine. Hour and a half, hour 45. Right. I like a little more length on my movies at times, just because it feels like I paid for this. I want a little more in there.
Yeah, you got to earn your runtime though. If you don't earn your 120 minutes, it just feels like it drags in spots.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's some stuff that you could take out, but anyway, for the most part, man, I could pop this in and watch it anytime and be happy, or take a nap, or or anything, and wake up and go, oh yeah, this is on. And
not for nothing. After they flew the tank, I did take a nap. I was out for a few minutes.
I mean, well, that's because you were like, oh, this is the hottest thing I've ever seen.
Yes.
No. That part's amazing, and I laughed the entire time and then all of a sudden I went, huh? Did you do that?
All right.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't. If you're talking about the A-Team, I'm not going to ask questions about physics. That's more Robert Police Department. All right, let's talk about Miami Vice. Miami Vice is a 2006 neo-noir buddy cop action thriller. Oof, that might be over-explaining it. It was directed and co-produced by Michael Mann. It stars Colin Farrell, Jamie Foxx. It also stars Olivia Brown, Sandra Santiago, Michael Talbot, John Deal, and Edward James Olmos. I'm not going to read the plot synopsis because it is long and involved and will be here all day, and I don't want to be. I will tell you, I struggled with this movie. I mean, maybe Pat can weigh in here. He said that he's watched every episode of Miami Vice. He has a feel for what the show is. I feel like, again, Michael Mann was responsible for Heat, wasn't he?
Yes. Okay.
I feel like he was going for Heat, but Miami Vice, and it's like, no. Miami Vice should not be Heat.
No.
Heat should be Heat. Heat works as Heat. don't do Miami Vice's Heat. Then you've missed the point. You've missed the fun of the show. And I don't think this did well either. But we'll come back to that. No, this bombed.
I knew 2 of the 3 bombed, but I didn't know that 18 bombed as quite bad as it did. But AT&T completely lost the plot for me. I mean, like, it was just like one of those things where because I wanted to like it because of the old show, and I do like the old show. I can go back and watch it. It's fun. The best scene in it, I'll still say to this day, the best television scene ever is the very first episode of Miami Vice where they're cruising the streets to In the Air Tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. Give me that.
Yeah.
Don't give me what you gave me, which was convoluted boat chase scenes and weird plot points. And
it felt like somebody had like a Cops and Robbers screenplay that nobody wanted to make, and they were like, what if we just slap Miami Vice on there? And we change around some of the characters. Pat says, Miami Vice got the stylized part of it, but they didn't get the chemistry of the cast. They also casted Dominic Lombardozzi, who might be the worst actor in history. No argument there. But I think Pat's really on to something. Oh, hang on. Miami Vice took time to build its characters' relationships. You can't do that in 90 minutes. Even updating the 80s aspects, they just didn't get it right. That's my point. Like, this felt like Miami Vice in name only. Yeah. Because here's the other thing about this. This is so much Colin Farrell and the Broad, and not enough of Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx. And isn't that the whole, like, the 2 legs of the stool? Yeah. You know, that hold up Miami Vice is Crockett and Tubbs. And you don't get nearly enough Crockett and Tubbs in Miami Vice. You don't at all. And like, I mean, you pick 2 actors that can pull this off, no problem. Yeah. Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx both are astounding actors. I love them. I'm gonna posit something to you. Think about like what they should have had was what Will Smith and what's his nuts have in Bad Boys. Absolutely. That's the vibe. Like, you don't need to go full Michael Bay. No, have like tits and explosions in every scene, but you definitely needed that chemistry between 2 actors, which this movie utterly lacks. You cut out a little bit there. You said the movie there. Bad Boys has chemistry where Miami Vice utterly lacks said chemistry. Absolutely, and that's saying something, because you got Martin and Will, who really shouldn't have that much chemistry together. That they crush it in every single movie. Even Bad Boys for Life. I was like, man, you got 2 guys that are pushing 60, and there's still one's still a playboy, and the other one's like, ready to retire. This is going to be terrible, and it was so much fun. It really was. And that's what I was saying about Miami Vice, is like, that's the vibe it should have gone for. Yes. And instead, you almost, like I said, you almost get like, again, I don't want to keep going back to Heat, but it has this sort of too serious for its own good quality to it. Yeah. And again, Miami Vice was all about that tension, sexual or otherwise, between Crockett and Tubbs, and then getting the job done and showing, these different parts of Miami. And instead, what you get is it's a lot of like shots in parking lots. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like Miami was the character it could have been or should have been in this movie, the way it's presented. So I prepared for this probably when you first told me. We talked about it because I wanted to go. I literally said, well, I might as well go ahead and start watching Miami Vice now, because it's going to take me a while to get through it. Mm-hmm. And it did, but it didn't take me long enough, because I'm like you. It's still going like, what did I just watch? I don't understand what's going on. Right. So, yeah, I would have. I had a couple of times like stop the movie and like read the plot synopsis to figure out where I was in the movie. Yeah, which is fine. So I want to put this comment up from Pat here. It says Rico and Sonny each had unique qualities that Don and Philip brought out and made work together. Farrell was great, but Fox has never shown the ability to share the screen. And I think that's largely true. I think Jamie Foxx works well as the lead, but whenever he has to be the co-lead in something, I don't think I think he has a difficult time finding equal chemistry with somebody.
I don't know. You watch Django Unchained.
Yeah, but I don't know if with him and Christoph Waltz are sharing the screen so much as they happen to be in scenes together.
No, that's true.
That is very much a Jamie Foxx movie.
Yeah. Well, Christoph Waltz, man, he's got some scenes in there where the one in the cave where he's telling Django the story of Broomhilda, the princess.
Mm-hmm.
I love that scene because they I think they have chemistry together because it's almost like a loving grandpa and grandson, or dad and son. That he's like, "Oh, well, sit down, let me tell you," and he's just sitting like cross-legged with a cup of coffee, drinking, and just like wide-eyed and listening. I'm like, that's a really really cool scene. And that's where that chemistry came together. That's what I was thinking of when I was talking about. But other scenes, yeah, you're right. It's just the blue boy outfit and all that. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. But for as good as actors Jamie Foxx is, I mean, like they gave them nothing to work with in this movie.
No. And then the woman lead in this. Let me get her name again. Let's see here.
Shame on you, Mick doesn't work anymore.
Gosh, what is her name? Oh, Gong Li, I think it is. Gong Li is Isabella.
Mm.
She's okay. She's got fair chemistry with Colin Farrell, but I think for me, sorry, I'm getting all these alerts because of the stupid chat that I need to now mute.
You talk about
the group chat.
Oof.
Yeah, I just feel like I think they're doing their level best to elevate the material, but the material, I think the material is too weighty. And they're trying, but they're not able to get it off the mat. And everything just sort of feels like they're swimming in mud throughout a lot of this movie.
Yeah.
Anything else about Miami Vice that you want to talk about before we move on?
Not really.
Okay. Well, then let's not beat a dead horse.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ronnie, we're going to be done in like record time here.
I know. I'm a little sad and a little happy too.
It's fine. The Dukes of Hazzard is a 2005 American action comedy road film loosely based on the television series of the same name.
Loosely.
The film was directed by J. something unpronounceable and released August 5th by Warner Brothers Pictures. As in the television series, the film depicts the adventures of Cousin Bo, Luke, and Daisy and their Uncle Jesse as they outfox crooked Hazzard County Commissioner Boss Hogg and Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane. Johnny Knoxville plays Luke Duke. Sean William Scott is Bo Duke. Jessica Simpson is Daisy. Burt Reynolds is Boss Hogg, a skinny Boss Hogg, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
Willie Nelson, a skinny Uncle Jesse. Dave Koechner is Cooter Davenport. MC Gainey as Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane. Michael Weston is Deputy Enos. Linda Carter, in a small role, as Pauline. James Rode Rodriguez is Billy Prickett. Kevin Heffernan as Derek Sheevington. Nikki Griffin as Katie Lee Johnson. Jackie Maxwell as Annette. And then it goes on and on and on. Then we have Junior Brown. They should have gotten Waylon Jennings. Was he still alive during then? If they did, they should have at least maintained that much.
Yeah.
Waylon Jennings. But yes, we have Junior Brown as the balladeer. All right. So the whole thing here is that
could have got Shooter to do that. Sorry.
The whole plot centers around getting the Dukes off their land, and creating enough of a distraction from Hazzard County to pass a thing so that they can strip mine for coal. That's all. That's Boss Hogg's whole deal here, and it's a lot of playing around and like there was the structure to this film seemed to be, let's make a list of all the things that happen in the Dukes of Hazzard that people like. Let's make sure we do those scenes, kinda, and then let's string them together.
Right.
Let's loosely string them together with a plot, with the most minimal of plots. And I'll tell you what, I weirdly enough, I think this is the only one that actually works for me. I don't think anyone understood what made the Dukes of Hazzard popular. And I think modernizing it made for some funny jokes at times, like just as an example. And I actually want to stop and talk about this for a minute. So at one point they're driving the General Lee around. It gets impounded or whatever, and Cooter has to fix it. and they give the car back, and they don't realize that he's put the rebel flag on top of the car.
Yeah.
And that, and in the next scene, they're driving through Atlanta, and they're constantly being stopped and harassed. And I thought it was
celebrated.
And I thought it was a funny gag.
Yeah.
In that moment, like oddly enough, I felt like it was handled just about appropriately.
Yeah.
It doesn't run too long. They don't do too much, and they acknowledge that the Dukes don't understand what they did wrong. And then they kind of see it, and they're like, "Oh, oh, okay,
yeah."
You know, we didn't do. It's not our fault.
They made the Dukes a little smarter than what people thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dukes were smarter, and they weren't all shucks, you know, Uncle Jesse and all that. They were smart, they were clever, and they made him a little more clever in this, even though Sean William Scott still plays it off like he's a complete moron.
Yeah, this definitely feels like Stifler but Southern.
Yeah. I wish he would have found a different way to play this.
Mm-hmm.
Because Johnny Knoxville's a better actor than what people give him credit for.
Oh, for sure.
You know, he's not great, but he's better than what people give him credit for.
Right, but also anyone wants to see Johnny Knoxville do is get hit in the balls.
True, and he gets hit in the balls in this.
Yes.
But he played this part very, very, very well, in my opinion. And I'm a big Dukes of Hazzard fan. Now, while I wasn't a fan of like some of the, you know, the innuendos in it and things like that, I was like, that's a little too far for me because of the wholesomeness of the original show. It was still a good little fun little romp, you know, little movie that they tried to make sequels of and they sucked.
Pat with a philosophical question for us. I'm gonna put this out there to the world. Can you be smart if your name is Coy or Vance?
Are those last names or what first names?
Those are the replacement Dukes. Do you remember that?
Oh God, yeah,
the ones that shot guns.
No,
yeah. When they were having the contract dispute, that famous contract dispute where John Schneider and Tom Wopat wouldn't come back, and so they replaced him for a season.
And the Dukes carried guns.
Yep. Yeah, and they lasted all of one season, and they were like, "All right, we'll give you. Well, here's Big Bang Theory money. Sorry,
we'll give you anything you want. Just come back.
Come back.
Don't make us go through that again."
Yeah, it's horrible. The answer is no. You cannot be smart if your name is Coy or Vance.
No. Yeah.
Anyway,
gosh, I'm a big fan, and I hear I'm like, "Who's Coy and Vance?" No, I know who they were.
Okay. So, the Dukes of Hazzard television show had a charm to it. Had an innocence and a charm to it that I think is lost in this movie. That's I think is the biggest thing that's missing.
I don't think it's lost. I think it was shed.
I'm gonna go with the people making this movie didn't acknowledge it. Didn't acknowledge the charm or the innocence. They just saw a redneck television show that was popular with a racist country. And they're trying to make money off. And so, like, they're willing to take the paycheck to make money off of it, but they don't want to acknowledge the charm and the innocence of it either. So, it has to be parody instead.
You look at the guy, the director is Jay. I can't say his last name.
Jay,
Zekrar.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you what some of the other stuff he's done.
Oh no, I know what they've done. They're part of Broken Lizard. Super Troopers, Slammin' Salmon, Club Dread.
Yep, all of that.
Something like
Beer
Day
Fest.
Trippin'.
Okay, so we have Super Troopers, the Baby Makers, Beer Fest, Club Dread, Super Troopers, Puddle Cruiser. And
they're talking about Super Troopers 3 now.
Yes.
So I'm very familiar with them because I've seen a lot of what they do. He was actually Jay was actually in Jackass, an episode in Jackass the movie. Actually, he pulled a prank on one of them. He helped pull a prank on one of them. And then you got he's directed a bunch of the Goldbergs. And he was directed and in a couple. He was in one episode of Community and directed a couple of them. So he's actually a very good, director and a very good, pretty good actor. but they just do silly stuff where they like to smoke weed and drink beer and get stupid.
So this comes across like let's make a National Lampoon's but Dukes of Hazzard, or let's make a Dukes of Hazzard. Let's make any number of like parody series but Dukes of Hazzard, and it's instead of like let's look at the Dukes of Hazzard and what can we update about it? What can we say about it? This also definitely felt like, hey, we're retreading and we're rehashing all of these properties. This is just another one in the bucket.
Yeah. They literally their little troupe, their little company, did all of these movies. They're independent movies. They either raised money or smaller companies gave them money. Mm-hmm. They were given studio money to do Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah. The budget on this, by the way, is $50 million. It's not bad. I mean, that's like Ghostbusters money, I think, back in the day.
Yeah, it's studio money. And they look at him and say, hey, here's $50 million. Make this is what we want. Yeah. And they look at it, and he looks at it and goes, I have a chance to make Super Troopers with studio money.
Yeah.
So why not make Super Troopers, slap Dukes of Hazzard on it, and go from there? Now, did they hit some of the stuff good? I believe so. I believe they got the relationship between all the Dukes down.
Yeah. I will tell you, like, the car chases are probably the best parts of the movie.
Absolutely. That's what I was going next. Yeah.
The stunt driving, if I have to say one really positive thing about the Dukes of Hazzard, is the stunt driving from Sean William Scott, especially in the scene where they're being chased by the cops in Atlanta.
Absolutely.
That is the high point of the movie for me. And there's some earlier stuff too where they do some decent car chases, but kind of like with the A-Team where it's just like you're just here to see the tank fly. With the Dukes of Hazzard, you're here for the car chases.
Where he's just staring at him in complete anger.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the road, Bo. Look at the road, Bo.
Yep. Yeah.
Look at the road, Bo. And he just like one time he goes between two cars. He just screams, "Everybody get skinny!" And just goes right through him. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And that's one scene where I think he killed it. He wasn't Stifler. He was channeling a kind of an updated, more modern Bo Duke.
Right.
But it was that scene, that entire chase scene through all of Atlanta.
In terms of tone, one of my issues with the Dukes of Hazzard, and again, this seems more of like what the production team thought they needed to go for. This almost approached parody porn level. It's like that's not what this was.
You had me at parody, and then the other word came out, and I was like, I don't know.
I'm promised to not talk about hand jobs yet again, Ronnie.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. Of the Screaming Boy podcast. So anyway, anything else about the Dukes of Hazzard? I mean, Jessica Simpson, she's okay in this. They use her like they would use like Daisy Dukes. She always had the one scene in every episode where she takes off her top and she's just there in the bikini top, and it's like, and everyone just kind of falls apart.
Yep.
And Pat weighing in.
And did you not fall apart?
She's okay. Jessica Simpson was a great choice from modern days. Yes, she was in all her 2005 glory, but Catherine Bach had a different kind of appeal because she wasn't a celebrity cast as Daisy.
Catherine Bach had a different kind of appeal because she was country girl next door pretty.
Yes, I would agree with that. Catherine Bach has a natural beauty to her, where Jessica Simpson seems very coiffed.
Yes, absolutely. She was gorgeous back in the day.
Yes, she was.
It was just one of those things where, like, unfortunately, they took her assets and they used them to what they thought was the best of her ability, and said, okay, but she was sassy too.
Yeah,
and she knew how to fight in that. She'd kick a guy in the jaw quicker than I don't know what.
When they cut the intro,
it
was a very famous one of her kicking the one cop in the ass.
Yeah. And so it was just she was sassy and she knew how to fight, and she was a decent actress in her own right. That's all I remember seeing her in.
Yeah.
But it was
I feel like Catherine Bach went on to do like a lot of Hallmark shit. Like
probably.
It was like if there was a famous actress in the 80s, you're like, where did they go? But they continued to have a career. It was all Hallmark movies. Like
every bit of it.
Yeah, like Valerie Bertinelli, the queen of Hallmark movies.
Man, she is, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
And you see, there's a couple others on there. I can't remember the name. She was in. She was the young girl in. The only daughter in Lost in Space remake the movie.
Yeah. The obvious one is the broad from Full House.
Yeah, Candace Cameron.
Yeah. Yep.
Bure or whatever her name is now. Burr.
Yes, the very Republican TikToker.
Yes, I mean there's nothing wrong with that because you have a very Democrat TikToker dad.
I sure do, Ollie. Anyway, so I would say of the Dukes of Hazzard, and then I'll kind of sum up my thoughts on the other two. Like, it's amusing when you're watching it, and there's some stuff that you can pick out that go, all right, I am genuinely interested in what's happening here. But for the most part, like I said, it kind of approaches that parody porn level of like, you're just doing an imitation. You're not really getting an essence of why this is, you're not touching the hearts and minds of the people that genuinely enjoy this sort of thing. And you're almost mocking it. And you're mocking the people that like it.
Do you know who the two best in the whole movie were for me?
Who?
Willie Nelson and Burt Reynolds.
I see Burt Reynolds plays Slimy really, really well. I thought Willie Nelson, again, kind of Alec Guinness in Star Wars. He's just reciting lines with no inflection. Just kind of.
No, that's just how he acts.
Well, again.
If you've seen him in other stuff, you're like, oh, yeah, that's Willie Nelson.
Maybe stop hiring him as an actor then. That's not acting. Limit his lines.
The only part that didn't fit for me was it's a Willie Nelson trope. He tells dirty jokes.
Yeah.
Where he was lighting the moonshine and tossing it, Molotov cocktail. He was just telling those jokes. I was like, well, they have to get Willie Nelson's jokes in there. I'm a big Willie Nelson fan. I just thought he looks the part. He acted the part. I thought, for the most part, I thought he did good. But Burt Reynolds was hands down the best. And MC Gainey did not match at all.
No. The guy that plays Roscoe was not good in this. It took me a few minutes to realize that even was Roscoe, because Roscoe, like the guy, I can't remember the actor's name, but he created
MC Gainey, right?
He created such a character, such an identifiable character with the
the original Roscoe,
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, he created such a vibrant character, and it was like that's one of the things that hooks you into the show, is that you have these colorful characters. It's like you want to see Roscoe get. You want to see the Dukes get the better of Roscoe, but you want to see the Dukes get the better of Roscoe because his reactions will be hilarious. And then they take those reactions away from him. And by the way, have you ever listened to the LP that they released of Dukes of Hazzard music?
No.
Where Roscoe sings about his dog?
No. How amazing!
It's the best. I don't know if I can get away with playing it on here, but I'm almost tempted to.
I got Apple Music. I'm sure I can find it.
Yeah, I'll look it up later and I'll send it to you in Messenger. But
I'm sorry, I have Amazon Music. I forgot about that.
No, we're not sponsored anymore.
Oh, then screw you, Amazon Music.
Exactly. Yeah, he actually sings a song about his dog Flash. I used to know every single word to Flash. My old dog, his name is Flash. I don't know why, because he ain't too fast.
Now that you're singing it,
he runs 2 steps and he runs out of gas. In a 1-dog race, he'd come in let sing and go, Flash, go.
Oh my god!
He just stretch and yawn, sing and go, Flash.
And that's the other thing. They made Flash Boss Hogg's dog in this.
Yeah, that's not right. That's fucking Sheriff.
And Roscoe was not a villain. Roscoe was
he was a dupe.
Yeah, he was a victim of his circumstance.
All right. And just sort of reflecting back, I think just watching the A-Team, the Dukes of Hazzard, and Miami Vice, I think this is a classic example of Hollywood just flailing for content. But I think the people involved in making these things also take these as opportunities. Like these were dumb as shit shows. We're gonna make them better. And I know Pat Mullen's gonna agree with this. Don't disrespect the fans' opinion of a popular IP. Amen. Make that the centerpiece of what you're doing and work out from there. If the fans say this dumb shit thing is beloved, go from that point. Go from the point of which it is beloved and work outward. Don't start with, this thing is beloved, but nobody knows why, and it's dumb as shit, and work out from dumb as shit.
Why do you think everybody attacks Michael Bay constantly?
Why does everyone attack Michael Bay?
Yeah, why with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? He wanted to take Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and then take the teenage mutant part out of it and make them aliens. And not turtles and everything else. And I'm like, so everybody turned against him because, hey, you're insulting the fans at this point,
right?
That want this to be good. So,
all right, Ronnie. I think we've said all there is to say. I'm gonna give you the final word here. Anything else you want to talk about with these 3 movies? You want me to sing another song?
Out of the three, A-Team is definitely my favorite.
Okay.
Miami Vice, he can kick rocks. Sorry,
easily the worst of the 3.
Yeah, and then if you're just looking for something stupid to waste time, and if you watch the unrated version of Dukes of Hazzard, it's very much stoner humor. I mean, every bit of it
utterly misses the point.
Yeah, it just misses everything. But if you watch the PG-13, you get some Dukes of Hazzard in there. Some. I think mostly from Johnny Knoxville, to be honest with you, because he was a fan of that show beforehand. And I think he kind of tried to keep it alive in it. They're fun, man. That's all they're supposed to be. They're not award winners.
No, and I had fun talking to you about them tonight, Ronnie.
Yeah, absolutely, I did too. I think they're great. That brings up a lot of great memories from childhood when I used to watch these shows.
Right.
Which I think I'll let them. Other than I think I could watch Dukes of Hazzard again. I think I'll let the others just stay in my childhood.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm doing a rewatch of the A-Team anytime soon.
Yeah, I love them, but I think I'm gonna let that one rest. Yeah. Like I should have done the original G.I. Joe cartoon.
All right. Well, Ronnie's going to be back with me and Dave tomorrow. Like originally we had like 5-6 people on this review, and everyone dropped off slowly. I wanted to, but Dave won't let me. So Ronnie Adams and David Wright.
Can't, you can't.
Ronnie Adams, David Wright, and I will be back tomorrow night after my hot date. I will. We will be reviewing Halo, TV series on Paramount.
Yeah, we will.
We're going to try to, at least, based on the video game. And then Tuesday night, as Damn You Hollywood, we will be reviewing Thor, Love and Homosexuality.
Oh, come on, dude.
Sorry. Love and Thunder. That's what the movie is called. I'm sorry. I read off my notes. I apologize. I was told by Natalie Portman it's the gayest movie they've ever done. I'm just reading.
And Natalie you look Portman at it and it's not. What the crap is she talking about?
Listen, don't blame me. Blame Natalie Portman. Anyway, we'll be reviewing in vascular detail Thor, Love and Thunder Tuesday night.
Vascular
detail. Tuesday, we have a re-airing of The Legend of Tarzan that we did a little ways back. And then on Saturday, we did an on-trial for Inception many years ago. We will be re-airing that this Saturday. And then we're back again next Sunday night. We'll be doing, it'll be myself and Sean, the last show for Sean, as a matter of fact, for a while. Studio 666, which is the Foo Fighters horror movie, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, and Detroit Rock City. So that's what's going on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network.
That's a good triple feature.
Yeah, I kind of let Sean pick it. I was like, I want to talk about Studio 666 when it comes to PVOD. What else you want to talk about? And he was like, Detroit Rock City. And then he was like, have you ever seen Tenacious D? And I'm like, nope. He's like, well, you're gonna. I'm like, all right. So that's what we're doing. All right, do your plugs. Let's get out of here.
Hey, I got a Twitter show, as you can see on my name here. If you're watching this, I'm sorry, if you're listening to it, it says Misfits and Miscreants, and that is I said Twitter, but it's a Twitch. Twitch.tv/Misfits and Miscreants, where I stream a D&D game, a bi-weekly D&D game every 2 weeks. We're starting up some other stuff that we're going to be doing some games with Call of Cthulhu, Monster of the Week, things like that. Sometimes you see my big dumb head playing video games on there. Hey, we love live content like that. We love to play games. So if you're a gamer or if you like to talk about it or anything like that, please come follow, hang out with us. We give stuff away sometimes. And, so I'm giving away dice and dice trays and things like that. So pretty cool stuff. I'm going to get Mark on a game online soon, sooner or later, I should say. There's going to be some good stuff going on there.
With my sexy life, what makes you think I have time?
It's true. I'm sorry. Defeated. But my goal is to get Mark on a game. How about we put it that way?
That's fair.
And then it's just going to be. It's a lot of fun, man. I went to GaryCon, which is Gary Gygax, the co-creator of Dungeons and Dragons. Met a lot of cool people there. Was in the midst of controversy and didn't know it. It was actually pretty fun to find out stuff was going on. Other than that, I'm usually here with Mark.
Usually. All right, folks. That's our triple feature for the evening with our live in studio audience. Thank you. Be well. For Ronnie Adams of the Screaming Boy podcast, be well, be safe. Never letting it go, baby. Never going to give you up, Ronnie Adams. Never going to let you go. Hi. Okay. Be well, be safe, and behave.